Hello there and welcome to another video. Please subscribe to the channel. In today's video I'm visiting Sunderland's 4 non-league football grounds. And no Newcastle fans, that does not include the Stadium of Light. So 4 grounds, I've decided to visit the least interesting one first and then sort of the older ones a little bit later, so stay tuned. So here we are at ground number 1 in Sunderland. This is the Ford Hub complex, home of Sunderland West End, who currently play in the 2nd division of the Northern League, and quite recently we're in the Wearside League. Now, why do I say it's the least interesting? Well, it's one of those typical hub complexes with a 3G artificial pitch, etc., and nothing much of historical character. As you can see, it's pretty much a community complex. Don't see any signage for Sunderland West End here though. The Berkeley Town posse have been here though. Green and white suits it. Massive car park, you know, if West End get to the Football League. Probably the most interesting thing really about this ground is that, as well as being the home of Sunderland West End, it's kind of become the surrogate backup ground for a lot of clubs in the northeast, especially last year when a lot of games around the county were rained off. There was a big backlog of fixtures and a lot of clubs ended up playing their matches over here because of the all-weather pitch. As you can see, 3 pitches. Pitch 1 for the Northern League. That's about as far as my camera zooms in, but there is some signage over there, I think, for Sunderland West End. And next to the sort of turnstile, the little green turnstile to the right there, in the middle. So yeah, even now there's quite a few Wearside League teams playing the matches over here, especially in the midweek because it's got lights, and a lot of Wearside League teams don't have floodlights. Like a lot of these grounds, you've got a couple of identikit prefab stands here. You can see they're not so many clubs at the moment. So you can see we've got another few pictures over here. I mean, it's very clean, it's very pristine. There's loads of space around the ground, you know. You can see that area between the pitch and the first fence. There would be loads of room for development if it ever needed it. It's a great asset, but let's be honest, it feels a bit like a cage, doesn't it? Really good views on the other side though, because you're quite high up here. I think it used to be a quarry here. Tell me in the comments if you know. I could probably go in that building if I wanted, the door was open, but other grounds to go to. If you look in the distance up there, on the top of the hill, you can see the Penshaw Monument, which is a bit of a landmark around here. Actually quite high up here on the south side of the river. Anyway, I'm off to the next one. Well, I've driven about 3 miles south of Ford complex. I just wanted to show you this little landmark up ahead, which is the Silksworth ski slope, which anyone in and around Sunderland, and indeed around the northeast, will know very well. If you're into skiing, that is, which I'm not. Anyway, our next ground is very close to here. And here I am at ground number 2 in Silksworth. Let's have a little walk through here. You can just see the lights in the background there. Nice war memorial. So Silksworth is another old colliery village, and this is Silksworth Welfare Park. And we're visiting Silksworth Colliery Welfare Football Club. Over the years there have been quite a few football teams with the Silksworth name, but the current version play in the Wearside League, and it's one of the few teams in that league to have floodlights. So as you can see, floodlights, fully fenced ground, perimeter fence, no stands though. Like a lot of welfare parks, the football ground's part of a complex of other sporting stuff. So you've got the bowls green there, little playground here. The cricket club's not here though, it's not too far away in another part of the village. I'll assume this is the change of rooms and whatever else, tea room or whatever. Let me know in the comments if you can tell me. I don't know much about this ground. I'd say Silksworth Welfare Park is one of those grounds that, if it was needed, there's so much room for development around the pitch, etc. There is sort of a bank around the perimeter. I wonder if there was ever any kind of terracing there. Maybe somebody will know. Okay, that's the second ground done. I'm off for a short drive south to visit our next two grounds. Okay, there's the North Sea in the background, and I've moved on to the village of Ryhope, where I'm going to visit two more non-league football grounds. So the first one is here at Ryhope Recreation Park, and it's a little bit of a sad story really, because the main club here no longer exists. Until 2 years ago, this ground was the home of Ryhope Colliery Welfare, who were formed by coal miners all the way back in 1892. So for the best part of a century they were the main sort of non-league club in Ryhope, and possibly in Sunderland as well. Typical team formed by the miners. The Colliery was just over there. There's a school on the top of the hill there, that's where Ryhope Colliery was. Typical of a lot of welfare parks, you also have the cricket club here, just looking nice and clean. Very nice indeed. Anyway, the football club was at its most successful probably in the 1960s, when it won the Wearside League 4 times, but also they got to the first round proper of the FA Cup, where they played Workington just over here. A lot of clubs seem to play Workington during those days. And they lost that FA Cup match 1-0, and that was probably their most interesting moment until they won the Wearside League and got promoted to the Northern League in 2012. But unfortunately the ground, which we're seeing right now, kind of failed its grading issues, and they were sort of relegated back to the Wearside League with other problems as well. By 2016 they'd gained promotion to the Northern League Division 1 and were doing quite well, and eventually finished 5th in the Northern League First Division in 2022. But then they decided... But despite the success on the pitch, they were struggling to maintain themselves off the pitch, and eventually they resigned from the league in June 2022, and the club folded sometime after. Then, if that wasn't tragic enough, the last manager, Gary Pearson, who'd been through that most successful period, he passed away at the really young age of 45 in 2022, which is really sad. And Ryhope Colliery Welfare is no more. You can see there's a little stand behind the goal there, red and white seats. That wasn't there last time I came. Probably went up after they failed the ground grading issues the first time. Just a pier around the back here. You probably saw the groundsman on the pitch there. That's because there is a club that still plays here. The club Farringdon Detached from the Wearside League, struggling at the moment. They play here at the moment. So, all is not lost for Ryhope Recreation Park. Let's see what we can see around here. I'm guessing Ryhope played in red and white. Classic ground hopping, peering through a crack here. I don't know if you can make out on the left just there, but there is actually another covered stand just on this side of the pitch. Quite like the cricket ground, mind. Okay, that's it for ground number 3. Short drive from here is ground number 4, and probably the most interesting ground, certainly the most developed one. And welcome to ground number 4 of our Sunderland Odyssey. Now, unfortunately, as we find time from time, the ground is well and truly shut around here, so it's gonna need a bit of creativity to have a little bit of a closer look. But I'm not climbing in here. I'm going to go and look around the other side. Oh, and in any case, there's the club that we're looking at. Now, I did have a feeling that this ground might be shut up, so fortunately I had a little bit of a backup plan which might even be more interesting. Let's go up this little footpath up here. Anyway, as you saw, the club we're looking at is Sunderland RCA here in Ryhope, a club originally known as Ryhope Youth Club before changing the name to Ryhope Community Association, which is where the RCA comes from. Now, in the 1960s they actually played at the Colliery welfare ground that we've just looked at before moving over here. But before that, in the 1970s, the club had actually folded once, and when they reformed they were basically playing more or less on a school field. And they were rejected by the Wearside League because there was already another club in Ryhope that we've just seen. So I think around about 1980 they got this ground, which was called Meadow Park. And in 1982 they became founder members of the Northern League 2nd Division, and they've been in the Northern League ever since. So they remained being known as Ryhope Community Association until 1999, when they merged with another Wearside League team called Kennock Roker to become Kennock Ryhope Community Association. And they retained that name until 2007, when they adopted the current name of Sunderland RCA. So it essentially dropped the Ryhope from the name, but it's still there in the RCA bit. Now, I said this might be a more interesting walk, and that's because we're going to go around the cemetery so we can get a good look at the ground over there. And a nice zoomed in version for you. You know, ground hoppers will do anything to find a way into a ground. How many of you have done this, gone through a cemetery to just get a look at a football ground? Sad lot, aren't we? And for most of the history, RCA were pretty much one of the smaller clubs in the Northern League and mostly in the 2nd Division. That was until about 2010 when they hit a purple patch and got promoted. Let's go over here. few dad jokes about the atmosphere being dead at Sunderland RCA. Football grounds, I'd walk over dead man's graves to get there. Bet you would too. I mean, ostensibly you could watch the match for free here, not that I'm advocating it. So the entrance to the ground that was locked over in that corner to the left there. After getting promoted in the first season in Division 1, CA actually got to the highest ever position to date, which was 4th. So that what really was the start of their most successful period. In 2018, the club equalled that highest position of 4th, and in between those 2 years, we got to the FA Vars, I think 5th round proper on 3 occasions. So they were successful on the national stage as well. And things continued okay till 2023, when off-the-field issues and a lack of volunteers meant that the club tendered the resignation to the Northern League. Now that got sorted out, so luckily the club didn't fold, unlike local rivals Ryhope CW. So just having a little closer look at the pitch, you can see there's quite a big slope going from right to left there, quite pronounced, especially in the top right hand corner. As for the stands, you've got the covered stand there, probably holds about 250 maybe. It's got like bench seats on it, and then you've got the covered bit on the end there. Red and white stripes, the colours of the club, and the pitch looks in pretty decent condition as well. Anyway, back to the story. Although the club happily survived, on the pitch things became a bit of a struggle, especially with the young squad that they had to play with initially. And by 2024 the club got relegated to the 2nd division of the Northern League, where they are at the moment, and they're struggling a little bit there as well. So it does seem for now that Sunderland RCA's best days are over, at least until they rebuild. For now, I guess they'll be looking to not get relegated to the Wearside League, stay out of that battle. It doesn't help really that Sunderland RCA are one of the sort of lowest supported teams in the Northern League division as well, with crowds sometimes of like 60, 80, 90 people. Such a shame in such a big city. Everyone basically goes to Sunderland and no one comes to the non-league. Weirdly, from this angle, the pitch looks like it kind of slopes left to right. Anyone from the club, tell me where's the biggest slope on this pitch? Right, that's it for this little road trip around Sunderland, where we've visited 4 non-league grounds in Sunderland. I hope you liked it. Please come and support some of these clubs if you can. They really would appreciate it, and you always get a friendly welcome. Otherwise, please do subscribe to the channel. Also comment in down below, and I'll see you in the next one.